Counselling is helping someone who's facing a problem or a challenge in their lives. So what do you do if a friend or colleague comes to you and says they're worried about something? You probably do the worst thing you can possibly do, which is to give advice.
Oh, you're not sleeping well? I always find that a nice warm bath before I go to bed really relaxes me.
You see, at my height, I don't even fit properly into a standard British bath. And even if I did, the solution that works for one person might not work at all for somebody else. I actually sleep quite well, but if I didn't, there could be any number of reasons, and lack of relaxation is only one possible. I mean, even if you understood the other person's problem, you don't. You might think you do, but you don't. But even if you did understand the other person's problem completely, the solution that might work for you might not be appropriate for them at all. They might not have the confidence or the skills or something else that they need in order to do what you would say. Also, we tend to imagine ourselves as being really confident and assertive and skilled in another person's situation.
Your boss is being difficult. Well, tell them you're not prepared to put up with it. March into their office and say you've had enough. That's what I would do.
I genuinely heard words to that effect from somebody who had frequently complained about poor managers they'd had and had never once challenged any of them, and yet seemed to think she'd be confident and assertive in this other person's situation. I mean, it's just so disempowering, offensive really, to suggest that you can solve other people's problems like that. So if you're not going to give advice, what do you do? Well, my first tip is what I call knock 3 times. And this is for when someone hasn't come to you saying they've got a problem or concern, but you can tell something's wrong. If you just go up to them and say, is everything all right? They're going to go, oh yeah, fine, thanks. So you need to knock 3 times. First knock might be, is everything all right with you? And you'll get the, oh yes, I'm fine. So a second knock would be, it's just that you haven't really seemed yourself lately. You haven't seemed to be on your game. Yeah, well, you'll get problems, don't we? That's the second knock. So the third knock might be, so there's nothing at all that's troubling you? Well, if you really want to know, I'm absolutely fed up with, and so it all comes out. So knock 3 times is a technique for getting people to open up to you who seem to have a problem. Once they've opened up to you, what do? Well, as we know, you don't give advice. Instead, you just listen and show you're listening, show your attention. It's a lot easier when you're not worrying about what you're going to say, because as we know, you're not going to say much. So show your attention, all the sort of things that will come naturally when you're not thinking about what you're trying to say. You'll naturally kind of nod and encourage, well, it's okay to perhaps clarify things. So who's doing this? Is that you? It's okay, good in fact, to summarize things. So if I've understood you correctly, what you're saying is this, and this. You may want to challenge assumptions that they appear to be making. What makes you think it would happen that way? And you may indeed ask them, what options have you considered? What alternatives are open to you? In other words, you're not giving advice, you're letting them talk it through for themselves. Now, they may come across a solution, they may work it out for themselves simply by talking it through, in which case, great, they'll be much more committed to a solution they came up with than one you presented to them on a plate. But even if they don't come up with the answer, they're going to feel so much better simply through having been able to talk their problem through with somebody who's listened, hasn't tried to come up with instant stupid answers, hasn't tried to give advice and talk over them. Someone who's just listened to them air their concern. Certainly they feel a lot better than they would if you'd just given them your standard easy answer.
This was a video from my channel 5MTC, which stands for 5-Minute Training Courses. Please subscribe for more and maybe find my book on Amazon.